We're spending much of the morning remembering the life and legacy of Arizona Senator John McCain, who was 81 years old.
The senator, war hero, and former Republican presidential nominee losing his year-long battle with brain cancer.
On Friday, Senator McCain's family announced he was ending treatment. He passed away Saturday afternoon, just days before his 82nd birthday. And joining us now on the couch, Maria Bartiromo, host of Sunday Morning Futures. Good morning, Maria.
Good morning. Good to see you all.
Maria.
John McCain should be celebrated and praised because of his incredible work for our military. He worked so hard and severely took on so much and in his service to our country. So my condolences to his family.
He was also seat of the pants sometimes, and you covering the economy better than anyone will remember, in the middle of the 2008 campaign when everything was falling apart, he decided to suspend his campaign and go back to Washington to try and help save the economy. And I remember talking to then Speaker John Boehner a few years later. He said he thought it was one of the most bizarre moments because he finds out that the campaign's suspended, and he's like, well, what are we supposed to do? He calls McCain. McCain calls him back, and Boehner says, what's your strategy, John? And John says, well, I don't know, John Boehner, what do you think I should do? And Boehner said, what the heck are you talking about? You just suspended the whole game. And so for all the wonderful things he did, he admitted later he was impulsive. He had a temper. He'd jump on things sometimes a little too quickly.
Yeah, it was a moment in time. I remember that when he suspended the campaign, and it sort of gave it all to the leadership to Barack Obama in terms of doing something. Here
That
we are.
meeting at the White House.
Exactly.
It was a turning point. That's absolutely true, Maria.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of guests on today, some who will be able to speak about John McCain, but other issues, because politics is just churning all the time.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to get the reaction to John McCain's passing from the inside the House when we speak with the Majority Leader, Kevin McCarthy, as well as Judiciary member Darrell Issa. We'll talk about that. But also, we want to get to what's going to be coming up in the coming months. The midterm elections are obviously the most consequential midterm elections in our lifetime, I would say. So many things are hinging on this midterm election.
Bruce Ohr is finally going behind closed doors and being interviewed by House Judiciary, which is why, as you mentioned, you have Issa on. What do we hope to learn this week? Because it's been so much mystery, and you've got critics saying the president has a conspiracy theory about Bruce Ohr. No, wait a second. This guy's right in the center of the dossier.
Oh, yeah, there's no conspiracy here. I mean, the bottom line is Bruce Ohr and his wife were profiting from the dossier, which was used to get a warrant to wiretap an American citizen. You know, most people don't realize that he was speaking to Christopher Steele way after he was supposed to be. He wasn't even supposed to be a source anymore for the FBI. And there you have Bruce Ohr having meetings with Christopher Steele. And then, of course, as I mentioned, we learned that his wife, Nellie Ohr, was working for Fusion GPS, putting that dossier together. So Bruce Ohr and his wife profited from the dossier. What I want to know is, did his boss know that, Sally Yates? At the time, Sally Yates was the one that Bruce Ohr reported to. Did she know that his wife was at Fusion GPS coming up with this dossier and that they were both making money on this dossier?
Or did they know that the DNC was funding that dossier?
That's exact. Well, that's of course, and they didn't tell the FISA court that the DNC had funded that. So we're going to talk about that, and obviously Darrell Issa will be one of those people who will be questioning Bruce Ohr. We want to find out what happens after this closed-door testimony, because my guess is that the next target becomes Sally Yates after Bruce Ohr.
You have Leader McCarthy on today, and I'm guessing you want to find out a little bit about how concerned he is. His name is certainly at the front of the pack to be Speaker, and we're less than just over 70 days away from the midterm.
Yeah, I mean, I find it really difficult to understand why so many people are saying, well, it's, you know, the House will probably flip. Because when you look at what this group has been able to achieve, the Atlanta Federal Reserve just came out yesterday with a new expectation for GDP growth for the third quarter, 4.6%. So you're talking about 4.1% for the second quarter, now possibly 4.6% for the third quarter. And here you have Speaker, the Majority Leader McCarthy and his colleagues among the important parts and catalysts to that growth with their tax cutting plan. So we'll talk about the midterm elections. What is Kevin McCarthy expecting, and will he be the next speaker?
And people who laughed at Donald Trump when he said, we might get to 5%. We're at 4.6.
It's pretty incredible.
It is pretty incredible.
Yeah, and you know, that means better productivity, more job creation, economic growth, more money in your pockets. So as people go to the polls in November, I suspect the economic story is going to drive them. But let's not underestimate the lies on the other side and the abuse of power with this cabal of people at the top of the FBI and the DOJ. I think the American people understand what took place in the 2016 election more than people understand that they give them credit for. And as a result, I think that's also going to drive people to the polls. So we'll see. The midterms, the most consequential in a long time.
Pretty tumultuous week over the last week here between Michael Cohen and Manafort. And yet the markets, which usually hate uncertainty, still rolling along.
Yeah, because I think the markets right now are recognizing this vitriol between the two parties. And I think the markets are just basically, investors are waiting to get some real evidence of more progress. So this week, we may get a deal with Mexico. We may actually see a new trade deal, a handshake, whatever you want to call it, between the U.S. and Mexico. And then perhaps the thinking is that Canada follows suit. That's important. The markets will soar on any new deal in terms of trade.
That's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
All right, 20 minutes away. Sunday Morning Futures, do not miss it.
Thank you so much.
Maria.
Thank you, Maria. All right, turning now to your headline. A train slams into a dump truck, killing 2 people and injuring several others. Both people in the truck died after allegedly driving past the crossing arms. 11 of the 50 passengers on board were taken to a hospital. 2 are in critical condition. The Texas incident is under investigation. And 7 people are thrown into handcuffs following a heated protest over a torn down Confederate statue.
Stand up like that! What do we do? Stand up like that! What do we do? Stand up like that!
Demonstrators at the University of North Carolina clashing over Silent Sam, a 105-year-old monument toppled during a rally. None of the suspects arrested are affiliated with the school. The charges include assault and resisting arrest. The statue will be put back up due to state law. And tomorrow, President Trump will be hosting Kenya's president at the White House. Talks will be held on trade and security. Should we decriminalize illegals crossing at the border in Texas? Some Democrats say yes.
Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton says that's just lunacy. He joins us live coming up next.
Plus, the political world honoring Senator McCain this morning. A live report from Capitol Hill. That's coming up.
My great privilege was to serve in the company of heroes. I witnessed 1,000 acts of courage and compassion and love, and it was a spiritually uplifting experience for me in many ways, and those that I love most and respect and admire are those that I was there with.